All right, back with another solo Q&A because everyone's busy. I'm busy and multitasking right now. So we'll go through a few questions and just things that people brought up to me that they wanted me to address in my opinions. So I'll give them to you. First off, the 100 milligram SLU daily has started, and I've been on it for like, I think about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Um, and I haven't changed anything else in my regimen of supplements or pre-workouts or training, but I did get caught. No, I've actually been on it for like 3 weeks now. I did travel, so I was gone for a week in Colorado, and not the most ideal situation to be in. Traveling always kind of sucks, just because you get out of your groove of food prep and like your meal timing and just like your day-to-day task. Like those things kind of keep me sane since I seem to have a more OCD personality. And you make do with what you do. And I guess it gave me energy because I never really felt the go. So like being from Texas and then going to higher elevation, I didn't get out of breath. I did get out of breath working out over at Armburst Gym because I worked out legs, which was still really good, but also was I out of breath because I wasn't adequately hydrated because of, again, the traveling, and I'm in a hotel room and I'm at a conference, and it's also waking up at like 3:30 a.m., 4 a.m., having to get an Uber, drive over to Armbrust. So like everything was kind of like out of whack, but I still had an awesome workout, really fatigued through the rest of the week, even flying back to Texas. And but I mean that gym was awesome, but like that's the only time that I had some sort of fatigue from like not, I guess, catching my breath, but it's not like I've had elevation differences to where I've had to adapt and in the past, and it really wasn't the same for me this time. So maybe just being adequately hydrated throughout, my trip, adequately enough for the average person. I tend to be on the higher end of consumption of sodium, electrolytes, and water. So, um, kind of abnormal, actually. Again, you guys know like 10 grams of sodium. I drink like 2.5 to 3 gallons a day, and always electrolyte powders, always some sort of flavoring in my water. Yeah, sucralose and all that stuff that's supposed to give you cancer, but it hasn't. So, yeah, maybe the SLU helped a bit. I don't know. But I don't have any increased thermogenesis. I don't think, like, the only time I ever really get that thermogenic effect is if I'm using tren and a high dose of tren. I've never used DMP, so I don't know how an uncoupling agent would work, even though tren has a slight uncoupling portfolio to it, I would say, at a certain dose and in combination with other drugs. But yeah, I didn't get like what people were saying about it, just it overheats you. I don't know, man. I think people are sensitive, and some people have some metabolic damage, and it is what it is. Everyone's different. Or some people just or start taking other things. Like, I mean, if you start taking grains of paradise at a high level or GPB with carnitine, maybe taking carnitine injections, uh, you know, there's an array of things that could happen to make you to 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 make you draw the conclusion that SLU had you like burning on all cylinders. Like again, I believe like Mike from APR would know more about this, but for me, maybe I'm just not metabolically or mitochondrial deficient in any way or destroyed, damaged, whatever you want to call it. I am healthier. Diet is really good. Diet is full of fruits and vegetables and you know things that grow on the ground, roam on the earth, plus a lot of other healthier options, and just avoiding the seemingly unhealthy. So just avoiding a lot of processed foods like and glutens here in America. It's not the greatest, right? So you're just trying to avoid some of the seed oils, canola oils, like not seed oils in general, but like just the canola oils, the cooking oils, the vegetable oils, things that have a very high percentage of being oxidated and kind of hurting your body. But I mean, if you want to take hemp seed oil, that's fine because it's a different uh, processing system, like a cold processing system to bottle it. But what I'm saying is to like prepare these foods to go through these temperatures. You do have some oils that are a little bit more delicate, and I do abstain from them because of the possible risk of some sort of oxidative stress to my body, which I don't want more and more oxidative stress to my body because I'm already having oxidative stress from living life, having a family, waking up early, having kids, having uh, this need to do my task in a OCD manner, working out and all that stuff. It adds oxidative stress to me. So the less I can add into my life from variables I can control, the better it's going to be. And I believe that wholeheartedly for everybody else. So I think that whole spiel was just about me starting the 100 milligrams of SLU daily. And I do take it in the morning before working out. I don't take it any other time of the day, and I don't split it up. It's capsules. So yeah, I may or may not go up to 200 so far. I'm good, and it's not making me overly lethargic, which makes me wonder about that other video I did where I said I got up to 8 milligram or yeah, or 100 milligrams. Yeah, I'm on. Okay. Hopefully I didn't say 100 grams, 100 milligrams of SLU. But I got up to 8 milligrams of SLU that one video that I did, and I was like extremely lethargic. Now, I did not run SS31 before that, but it makes me wonder, was there something else inside that tablet? It wasn't yellow, so it couldn't be DNP, right? But like, what else could make me so lethargic? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's like a higher dose Winstrol or something, or YK11. Winstrol would make the only thing that would be make sense. But I didn't get blood work, so I don't know. But it felt kind of toxic, so it could have been my liver. But I didn't have any symptoms of like digestive problems, so I don't know. Yeah, makes me wonder what I was taking rather than just blindly uh, thinking that it's real. you know, which brings me to my next thing. We're talking about EQ. People have asked me over and over again, is EQ safe to take? Because they're hearing across all of their social media platforms from smart guys and guys who have experience. Really, that's really what we're looking for. Them saying that it is toxic to the kidneys, and they've seen hundreds of panels of blood work. Now, here's what I'll say. The same thing was said about Trin years ago. And yet now people are saying, oh, Trin's not that bad. Like it's really not bad. And low doses work better than super high doses. EQ, back in the day, we used to run like 900 milligrams, 1,000 milligrams, 600 to 1,000 is usually where you land. And I never had any problems with lower estrogen back then because I don't really have estrogen. I have to take I don't really I have to take exogenous estrogen or something that is heavily aromatizes into some sort of methyl estrogen. So I never had the problem with low estrogen, is like they're saying, but I also never had problems with kidneys. So an EQ is one of those things that I loved, and I can manage my hematocrit and hemoglobin. And I can tell you how I do that. But the factor that may impact whether EQ is said to be kidney toxic is a variety of different things. I mean, beside epigenetics and how we metabolize drugs, we can look at, again, this new term, mitochondrial function and mitochondrial dysfunction. Like, what is the mitochondrial health? But like, let's even take a step back a little bit more at the foundations. What is their diet like? Do they eat a variety of fruits and veggies? Do they eat, uh, do they overconsume voluminous amounts of food because they have to, because they're bodybuilders? So is it the increased body weight, lean body tissue on top of the equipoise? And then maybe they're running other compounds that can help increase nitrogen synthesis in the body and nutrition partitioning. Maybe like all of this that they're taking in has a factor on EQ because a lot of people didn't take EQ back in the day. I mean, just recently, people only started taking EQ because of the mast and primo shortage. Pe People were avoiding EQ because the risk of clotting or thick blood making it too viscous, and they're saying how dangerous that is, even though every anabolic thickens blood, right? Um, so it makes me wonder, is it their poor diet, the lack of variety of their diet? I don't care if you eat clean, like I mean, you're eating cream of rice from a bag that has other processed components to it. Is it is it cleaner than McDonald's? Yeah, but is it cleaner than like rice flour that has nothing else in there? No. Uh, is there a variety of antioxidants in there? Micronutrients? No. Rice is void of that. Um, so the other thing to look at would be what's their daily cardio like. Now, the people that are proclaiming about EQ being kidney toxic through blood work that they see clients. Now, I don't, I wasn't told if they were talking about clients in prep or in off season or both or whatever. Uh, but the people that are talking about this on social media, they have been known to say that they don't do cardio or they don't like cardio. They do as little cardio as possible. Or they need to take more steps. They only take 2,000 steps a day. They work from home. They're at a desk. You know, the only time they walk is when they have to walk their dog. Um, is it their lack of physical activity, like the cardiovascular health, right? What's their blood pressure? Like, what was it before starting EQ? What is it during EQ? And they're not doing the cardio. Cardio is so protective and can mitigate a lot of risk and a lot of adverse effects. So you're going to get side effects, but so the side effect EQ, let's say thicker blood. Let's go ahead and say that high hemoglobin, high hematocrit, high protein within the hemoglobin, within the red blood cell. Let's say that's the side effect. So the adverse effects would be, maybe a clot. We can reduce that risk with more cardiovascular function, but a lot of people in the fitness industry who are trying to become big and enhanced in that way, they don't want to do cardio because it may impede on their lean muscle tissue growth, which I also disagree with. Cardiovascular health can only help. It's just you don't want to you can't be a marathon runner and be a bodybuilder, but you can be those fast walkers for the Olympics. You can do that. I mean, you're getting your heart rate up, right? I'm sure whenever you're pooping on the toilet, your heart rate and your blood pressure spikes up too, eh? So I think it's totally healthy, and it also helps with nutrition partitioning, GLUT4, uh, systemic growth hormone effects as well. It's just downstream effects of overall well-being. So it just makes all of your other endogenous hormones and peptides work better. Because again, more oxygen to the blood, or yeah, to the blood and to the muscle, to the gastrointestinal tract. It helps with gut microflora balancing. And then that gut microflora, man, that affects everything: thyroid, right? Kidneys, liver, uh, muscle growth, IGF. So I don't believe it is kidney toxic. And when used responsibly, the AI effect, I'm thinking maybe they're putting something else in it, man. Like I don't know. I've never like even back in the day, people still took like Nova and aromas, an Astrosol or yeah, Nova, tamoxifen, like an Astrosol, Arimidex, they used to take that back in the day alongside with EQ, but the EQ doses were really high and they still took like anti-estrogens and their test dose was really high. But you don't see people running EQ and D-ball at the same time back in the day. It'd be like EQ Anavar test, EQ test, DECA or NPP, sometimes Trin. So Mm, it just makes me wonder. So if it does now have a strong effect on lowering estrogen, like is the lowering estrogen being problematic to the kidneys? That's the other thing to maybe think about. And is it, we don't know the long-term effects. So you can't say this is long-term dangerous. It could just be very acute, the same way Anavar affects HDL. And it's really hard to tell what the key is doing on its own, or is it interacting with another medication? Because a lot of people are taking telmisartan and all these other drugs prophylactically and not because of a condition. They're trying to prevent a condition, which is, in my opinion, a very retarded thing to do when it comes to using prescription drugs. The first route you should go is through lifestyles and diet. Second, supplementation. Third, then you hit your, or third, peptides. Fourth, drugs. You don't want to, like, it's weird to use a drug to combat a drug. I mean, that's called pharmaceuticals, which is what a lot of people are against, especially in the fitness industry. So, um, they're against like big pharma, like corporations, and they're pretty much making uh, the same decisions with their drug use as the pharmaceutical companies are promoting and pushing and making doctors, healthcare workers do through quotas. So it makes me wonder, but I firmly don't believe EQ is toxic to the kidney. I've seen blood work and I don't know what these other people are taking to have such an adverse effect for to EQ. I do also believe that you always have to believe that your client is lying as well. They're always doing something on the side. Like, I don't care who you are. Um, Very rare are people fully 100% transparent, and I try to be. I mean, what other retard would be on the internet saying that, I take a gram to 1.5 grams of caffeine a day, and I've been doing it for like 20 years, and I drink like 3 gallons of water, and I take all this sodium, and I do all these things. I freaking lick a knife after cutting an apple. Uh, I do a lot of crazy stuff, dude. And yeah, again, I don't believe EQ is kidney toxic. I just don't know how many times I have to repeat that. There's something else that's going on, something else that they're taking with the EQ. And I think that's really what they need to go back and look at is how many of their clients are taking the same type of medication and taking EQ at this specific dose, ranging between 300 and 600. I don't know if anyone's going up to 900 anymore, but and the sources, like where's it coming from? I know Janishik and all these other places, they do testing on the oils, but also if he has a contract with another company that sells underground gear and he fakes a test, I mean, I don't know his, like what, I don't know the guy. I never talked to the guy. I've never watched anything that the guy was on, but I do know his company exists and I know people can have incentives to do something else. And why not have a contract with the underground lab or a few underground labs and encourage people to test their stuff and kind of fudge some things around. So, and then if you don't pay the guy, then he puts a bad test on your company. But yeah, we'll just leave it there. So went through that. Uh, someone was asking about the are AIs really worse than adding another injectable compound to manage E2? No, you know, I used to believe that because my gut microbiome was so off that maybe I wasn't really absorbing or the oral AI that well. And so I think sometimes that happens to a lot of us, like our we have like gut dysbiosis. Maybe we're not absorbing it and utilizing it as well. It's maybe not put out in the bloodstream that much. Uh, how do I word this? We're not absorbing it. We're not breaking it down. We're not metabolizing it. Maybe the half-life is altered in a way, or maybe shortened or prolonged you know, we do seem to have poor gut bacteria balance in our bodies, and we can see it like when you're lean and you're posing, you can see it when you do your side shots. If you have H. pylori, we can see all that. But if you start just taking AI and you're like, man, this 1 milligram isn't working of ADEX, so I got to take another one maybe 2 days later. You start stacking it and it becomes like cumulative, but then all of a sudden something happens within your gut microbiome, and then now you're releasing tons of Arimidex into your bloodstream, and it hits multiple peaks and straight in a row. You have a higher plasma level or a serum level. Maybe that's where it kind of got its bad rep. People just abusing it, and but then also again, the other side that I look at is how well is our body assimilating it and absorbing it, and it does mess with the half life. Now, an injectable we can control since it does bypass the liver through the first shot and or through the first round, and then through the second round, go through the liver, assuming the liver is pretty healthy, which we do seem to keep an eye on. If it's one thing that we do keep an eye on as bodybuilders or in the fitness community, it's your liver, and then now it's kidney and liver, and slowly people are now recognizing the gut and the importance of it, and then now the pancreas with the GLPs and insulin, So we're slowly making our way around, but that's going to go back to you know gut health, I think. So if you want to, you can add in another compound like if I guess EQ. If you want to, like start off on like 200. If you're doing like let's say you're doing 300 milligrams of test, do like 150 EQ. See how that goes. Do that for like I don't know, like 6 weeks, and get your blood test again and get your estradiol tested, your sensitive estradiol. Or you can go the route of if you find real masteron, you can do that route. But it just doesn't seem correct on the paper. It'll give you a false positive or false negative on the blood work. So you really have to be in tune with your body. So I think AIs orally, if you are new to this, and injectables, if you are more experienced and veteran. That's what I think. And how do you manage high hematocrit or heme numbers on blood work? So cardio, fasted cardio is your friend. I am wholeheartedly believing in fasted cardio. Clears the mind, speeds up the morning process of helping everything kind of move throughout your body, heats the body up, uh, gets rid of, not gets rid of, but it just moves the gastric emptying. So it just moves everything along because food's stuck in your GI tract for a while. There might be some days where you're like, man, I just ate corn for lunch and now I see it at dinner coming out, stuff like that. But you still have food up in your small intestine. It's still making its way down from maybe a day, 2 days, 3 days ago. So I think fasted cardio really helps that. It also clears the mind. I think it's really good to get some sort of cardio in and not have any food in your system. So more blood flow can get to the extremities of the body and also get to your brain a little bit better. So I think I do my best thinking whenever I am doing fasted cardio. And I don't always like it, but I know that it's good for me. So I do it anyways. So that's one of those things I don't think I'll ever enjoy. I just make myself do it because I have discipline. And I don't think you'll ever enjoy everything that you do 100% of the time, but you realize that the benefits of it after doing it. And then that's what keeps you doing it because you enjoy the benefits of it later on. So you might not enjoy the process of going through it. That's how I look at it. All right, one more. Uh, what is your current intra workout looking like? You talk about taking in a lot of sodium and carbs. So what are you doing? I work out 7 days a week because I like the gym. And I tailor my volume and intensity training around being able to go into 7 days a week. And I also do other training outside of that, more plyometrics training, cardiovascular training outside of the gym. So there's 2 day trainings, sometimes 3 day. So what am I looking at right now? So right now I wrote it down because people want to know. 5 grams of BHB, and that's the Go BHB. Don't get anything else. Get Go BHBs, get all of them, all the ketones. 20 grams of glycerol, so the powder. I don't like the liquid. And don't get glycerin. Glycerin is different. Glycerol. And you have to, the BHB plus the glycerol. And then 3 grams of sodium. So I use those Venture Pals packs and also raw. Uh, they also have dextrose in there, so they're like 6 grams of dextrose for with the 1 gram of sodium. But the Venture packs that I get, or Venture Pal from uh, from Amazon, it's 1,000 milligrams of sodium per pack, and I do a scoop of EAAs. So that usually has some sort of hydration in there now with every brand doing hydration. So I'm getting more sodium, potassium, and all that jazz. And typically it's, 9 grams, usually, give or take, like the patent amino 9, usually like 9 and 10 grams or something. And then I'm also getting 25 grams of carbs. And that will be the branch cyclodextrin. So that is my intra workout. And I have this giant jug and I put it in there with some ice. It makes it nice and cold. And then I fill it back up during my workout. And then I fill it back up again after my workout. So so I go through 3 of those within my working out inside a gym. From outside a gym, different because it's hot here in Texas. So that's my intra workout. Now I know what you're thinking. It might give you diarrhea. Hey man, that is the case. Dextrose does give you that bowel movement. The BHB can, the glycerol for sure. But you try to, increase your your stomach resilience and get through it. But all in all, I'm usually pooping at the gym as well. So I poop before, I poop during, and then I got to come home and poop. So it clears everything out. So you know, I think I'm good on colonoscopies and stuff. I think everything is working a-okay. But that's how it's going right now. And I will add in more carbs later on if I want to. But I don't do insulin or anything. I'm really sensitive. But the BHB has calmed my carb intake down, and I still have more energy, but also just more mental clarity. And I seem to have better pumps with this, with increasing the glycerol and adding the BHB in. So before I was doing 10 grams of glycerol, and then I was doing uh, intra workout. I'm pretty sure I was doing I would go to like 100 grams of carbs some days on like leg days and back days, but usually it'd be around like 75, 50 to 75. Uh, but now I'm bringing it down 25, and it seems to work really, really well. So that's where I'm leaving it at tonight. Sun is almost all the way down. So I will talk to you guys later. Go ahead and leave any comments below. If you've made it this far, you can give me a like, share, subscribe. Um, yeah, let me know what you want to know. Uh, I know people ask me, like, how do I get in my workouts, especially having 2 young boys? Crazy. I have 2 boys, 2 children that are boys, males, not females. And I took anabolic steroids. And also, I was taking anabolic steroids while having the kids. And yes, the kids are mine. They look just like me. So you can see them on Instagram. So the whole myth about bodybuilders or people taking PEDs or anabolics and androgenics and all this crap, uh, being in a calorie deficit and blah, 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 blah. You're going to have girls. Nope. Maybe it's just because you're weak and I'm not. I just have really strong sperm, and your sperm is weak and your penis is small and weak. Anyways, that's it.